you're the CEO, the president of. We just say Findlay Market,
Right?
But it's the corporation for Findlay Market, right?
Yes, the Corporation for Findlay Market. It was founded about 20 years ago. Findlay Market itself is the oldest public market in Ohio. It's 171 years old.
1852, right?
Yes,
Right.
that's amazing.
Wow, that's a long time.
And so had been managed different ways over the years, but then about 20 years ago, the nonprofit was created to manage the market. And so, I am the third CEO of the Corporation for Findlay Market and the first woman CEO.
Awesome. So do you feel like the key holder? What do you, among other things?
I mean, I don't feel like the key holder. I just feel like a part of a big team.
I tell you what, I bet, I'm assuming, this is the first time we've had a conversation, so
Right.
Thanks for stopping in, but I'm assuming this is a 7-day-a-week gig, whether you want to call it that or not.
Well, I don't think you do this kind of work because you just want to clock in and clock out. You're always, I'm sure many of the entrepreneurs you talk to, like, you do this because you love it and because you love to learn new things. I believe if you're not learning, you're dying. And so for me, this kind of job really suits me because you're always getting to learn new stuff. Sometimes things you didn't want to learn, but you're always learning new things.
So where's this passion come from? Because, again, I think you said you wouldn't want to do it if you didn't want to learn new things or if passion's a part of it. But if you're going to do something that leads an organization like this that is so special to our community, right? You have to be all in. And there's probably some attributes and some characteristics about you that whatever you do, you're going to go all in. I'm assuming. There's some entrepreneurial stuff in there. We can call it entrepreneurial, but did you see yourself in a career where you had to be this plugged in leading a community organization like this?
No, I didn't. I think I always wanted to be part of a community, and I think that's where it really started for me. So my family moved around a lot when I was a kid. Like every 4 or 5 years, we moved to a new state. And my mom's from Germany. She immigrated here, and my dad's from New York City originally. But when we would move from like Maine to Idaho, or from Indiana to California, like big cross-state, cross-country moves. And so, every time you move to a new place, you're trying to become a part of a community, get to know people. And I've found that food is the way that you do that. I am new to Cincinnati. I moved here from New Orleans. I hadn't spent really any time in Cincinnati before exploring this job. And so I know Cincinnati chili's a thing, though. I can ask you about it.
Oh, I don't even know if we know what it is. We just think it is. You know what's funny is Christian Gill was just on, and our famous local chef, one of them, and his favorite dish is more Creole leaning. He loves that stuff. And so I don't know if you two have had conversations or gotten together, but so what was was Louisiana just the draw to go to Tulane for your MBA, or was there another purpose?
No. So I went to college in New York City. I was living in New York, studied poetry there in grad school, and then visited New Orleans for, a trip with friends and just fell in love. If you've ever spent any time down there, you'll meet lots of people like me who kind of fell in love and never left. And so, I moved there in 2004. And I didn't have a job lined up, so I, was a waitress. I worked at a sausage factory, and then I landed a job at Tulane, working with undergraduate women students. And I had gone to women's college, so women's education and leadership's really important to me. And so, while I was there, I had the opportunity to do a lot of work around women in business, women in leadership. And then Katrina happened, and, evacuated for 2 months or so, came back, and I really got to see firsthand the importance of entrepreneurs and small business owners because, you may or may not remember that time, but people had written New Orleans off. The media was talking about looters and, everybody in New Orleans is a criminal and like terrible, untrue, stereotypical attitudes around the city. who'd gone through something that no other city in America had ever gone through and that we weren't prepared for. But what we saw was that, all of these small business owners were willing to come back even though, their store was, wiped out, even though maybe they were living in trailers, even though like their customers were all over the country now, but they love the place and they love the community and they love what they do and they wanted to bring that back. Because, big businesses were like, I have 4 other properties in other states. I can get an insurance settlement for this. I don't need to be here. And so I really got to see that, entrepreneurs are the driver of a community. They are the community builders. They created normalcy for people. They created opportunity for us to get together. It's not, bars and restaurants are not the only places that people get together. It's, people meeting at the barbershop. It's people, talking at the gas station, wherever. I think like seeing that community piece was really important. And I'd always been passionate about food because, like I said, it's a great conversation starter and it's a great way to get to know a new community. And my dad loves cooking, and so I would always cook with him. And so, food's about community and creativity, nourishing people that you love. And so Tulane when I was working there, had a program where staff could basically go to the MBA program, assuming they got in, for free. And so I did that for 3 years, nights and weekends, grinding it out. And I was exploring going into food on the for-profit side. But the more I learned about it, the more questions I had about it or concerns I had about it. Like one of my classmates, his family owned a chain of local grocery stores. And I got to learn about how, when you're thinking about opening a grocery store, you use an algorithm that looks at population density and income levels. And if the number doesn't hit right, you don't build a grocery store there. And from, a purely mathematical perspective, that makes sense. But that's what's led to our country being riddled with food deserts and people not being able to access groceries and having to live off fast food or like dollar store food.
Those aren't good things.
They're not healthy things. I believe in food sovereignty and you should eat whatever the heck you want. So it's not a good or bad, but
it's not the most healthy.
Maybe not the most healthy all the time.
There you go. We can slip in it every once in a while.
Yeah. I mean, not great if it's your only option, or, talking to somebody from a major corporation who did food marketing saying, we basically take the same product and we rebrand it as something else every 6 months. And I just was like, ooh, I don't know.
Doesn't feel right to you. Didn't feel good.
Yeah, it didn't feel challenging either. And it didn't feel like the goal was like really aligned with the things that I love about food. And so I as most people do, I kind of took a different direction that somehow, I believe that if you follow the things that you're passionate about, whether that there's a way for you to create a path to a career that really suits you and your interests, even if it's not like an obvious path. And I think that's certainly true for entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm. It's not an easy path usually.
No.
It's not paved yet,
No, but I think part of our job as we move along is to create the pavement, that I hope to create opportunities and network with people who are not as far along in their career so that, we can, create pipelines to do this kind of work so that it is sustainable and that people can connect to it.